It is Monday, December 14th. This is Jaguars Happy Hour. Jaguars Happy Hour is brought to you by Jet HomeLoans. And now, a guy who's finally figured out a way to get a word in edgewise, J.P. Shadrick.
Welcome in, Jaguars Happy Hour, and that is because we are Boselli free tonight. J.P. Shadrick, Pete Prisco, CBS Sports senior writer. Well, Tony will be with us in the second hour. We have 1 hour to break it all down. Here's what's coming up on the show today. Me and Pete. Pete and me. Like the old days. We'll have a Titans-Jaguars review. Jags lost 31-10. Gardner Minshew the second will start next week against the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get into that decision from head coach Doug Marrone, Tony Boselli at 5 o'clock. Your social media questions in the second hour. The not-so-powerful draft rankings and draft order. And we'll go around the National Football League in week number 14. Mr. Prisco, good afternoon.
What is up, JP? This might be the best hour of radio we've had in, since Boselli was in Europe, I think.
Probably then, yeah. I mean, this harkens back to the days when I was across the street over here and used to call into your old radio show when you hosted one.
Remember?
Yeah.
Hey, JP, give us an update on the Suns and what they got going on. And then
right.
You can tell me how good the pregame meal is. Remember,
right.
I used to ask you always about the pregame meal.
That's right. The late great Beach Road Chicken Dinners, which is no longer
Damn right.
up there.
It's no longer with you, Jacksonville.
I know. So, so this will be fun tonight. Looking forward to it. And this is
maybe, but you know what Boselli's doing? You know, he wouldn't say what he was doing. Maybe he's formulating his plan to take over and run the Jaguars. Maybe he's doing that.
Or he's on, about the 16th hole at Sawgrass, maybe.
Right, one or the other. Whatever way you know what, JP? Whatever he's doing, if it's that important, we're just going to say he was on the 16th hole at Sawgrass.
Right, because that's not a bad place to be, actually.
No,
maybe he's got it figured
out,
and we don't, Pete. We're the ones doing the show. I don't know. The team's 1-12 now. They've dropped 12 in a row, of course. A 31-10 loss to the Titans. And, Pete, it felt like this was the measuring stick game because the Titans are the first-place team in the AFC South, the division leaders. They're the standard right now. This team is so far away, the Jaguars are, from what the Titans are doing that they don't even make measuring sticks that long, in my opinion. I mean, it was just a totally different-looking football team yesterday.
Yeah, look, the Jaguars aren't a very good team right now, and nobody can dispute that. Nobody will argue that. And they can't compete with good teams. It's probably not going to compete next week with the Ravens either. And so this is not about the rest of this year. It's about moving forward after the season and finding the right fits and finding the right coach and finding the right general manager. And, look, it makes sense to go explore all options and filling that position or those positions. And, you saw there was a report today, Albert Breer mentioned Urban Meyer. I had heard that. I mentioned that to you this morning before I even saw that.
Yeah.
And that is one option out there. And I think the Jaguars are indeed interested in him. And we'll talk to him down the road or maybe they've even talked to him. So, again, explore all options and try and figure out who the best people to run that franchise is. I was a little shocked yesterday when I heard the report that Marrone was going to come back or could come back.
That was a weird one.
I don't believe that.
That was a weird one. Yeah,
because it was Schefter, wasn't it?
It was Schefter, and the way it was kind of. I went back and kind of looked at the wording a little later, and it said, "Hey, some people around the league think that Marrone has a chance to come back." It was kind of a loose report. It wasn't like, "Hey, sources say this is happening," and we all know he's staying through the end of the year. That's already been announced.
Yeah, and I saw Gene Fournette disputed it as well just now on Twitter. He said some source told him that's not true. I don't believe it either. I just don't. I think they're going to clean house. I think they're getting rid of everybody. And this is no slight at Doug, but Doug's hands were kind of tied behind his back. There's not a lot of talent on that team, but changes have to come, and it needs to be a full-scale changes across the board. It just can't be, one guy here and then maybe you keep the coach and you change the general. It can't work that way. It has to be the general manager and the coach working together in sync. You want your guys, they want to work together. I just can't imagine Doug Marrone staying in that position. Now, Have weirder things happened in the NFL? Absolutely. We've seen them happen, but I can't see it happening in this case at all.
Well, we'll break this down a little bit more as we go tonight, Pete, and maybe throw some names out there if you have some others that could be options. Then we'll get into that. But because we must, let's review yesterday's game. The Jaguars, 31-10. And Mike Glennon made the start, and so did Derrick Henry on the other side for Tennessee. He went over 200 yards for the fourth time in his career, the second time against the Jaguars in his career. 215 yesterday, and they seemed relatively easy for the most part. The defense had real issues. Let's start on the offensive side, though, and there was a quarterback change in the third quarter. Mike Glennon started the game and went 2.5 quarters with only 85 passing yards, so Gardner Minshew was brought in off the bench. He did lead a touchdown drive. James Robinson had a big run on that drive as well. There were a couple of other times where they ended short in the red zone. And then after the game, Gardner Minshew obviously pretty fired up to be back on the field.
Yeah, it felt great to be back in there. It's something that I really missed. I miss camaraderie with the guys. I miss being out there. As much as you're always a part of the team, it's just something different, when you really are out there with the guys, and it's always special. I thought we got in a rhythm. It was kind of up and down. I think we can finish drives better.
Gardner Minshew after the game yesterday, Pete, and now a fourth quarterback change for Doug Marrone this year. They're going back to Gardner Minshew moving forward, at least this week in Baltimore. What'd you think of all the quarterback play yesterday?
It was terrible, which is what you've come to expect in Jacksonville. Look, Mike Glennon was bad. Gardner Minshew wasn't much better when he went in there in garbage time, and that's essentially what it was. He did give him a little life on that one touchdown drive, but come on, nobody's playing in that situation. It was garbage time. They're not good at quarterback. Period. End of story. Jake Luton, not good. Mike Glennon, not good. Gardner Minshew, not good. So what do? You try a new guy this week. You bring back Gardner Minshew and let him start against the Ravens. But look, does it matter? Does it really matter, JP?
I don't think so.
None of these guys are any good. It's a bad position on a bad football team, and it's a big part of the reason why they're a bad team.
There's all these, everybody's talking about, the crowd was chanting for Minshew yesterday and all that stuff, and there's controversy, who's going to start. There's no such thing as a quarterback controversy when you're 1-12 and all three aren't playing well. That just doesn't exist in my book.
Well, let's put it this way. Which of those three guys is going to be on the roster next year? Are any of them?
Maybe. Depends on the GM, right?
Right.
Who does he want? Does he think Luton maybe has the bigger arm and is a younger player and he's inexpensive? Maybe you keep him around. Okay.
I outlined it last week. If they draft number 2, they draft Justin Fields. They're not going to have Gardner Minshew be the other quarterback in the room. It's just not going to work.
Right.
Gardner thinks he should be playing, and I don't think that he'd be a good mentor for Justin Fields. So take that out of the equation. Mike Glennon, that just depends on what they want in their backup quarterback. Luton has the big arm, but he didn't show very well when he played. So I'm not sure any of them are going to be in the room. And the best guess, you made it, would probably be Luton. He would be the guess to be the backup quarterback. But you need a veteran, I think, if you have an older quarterback. You have to have a veteran behind. A younger quarterback. You have to have a veteran behind him.
You need a Chad Henne to your Blake Bortles, a Chad Henne to your Blake Bortles is what you need.
Correct. That's exactly what you need. And so I don't think any of them are going to be on the roster next year, or at least suiting up. It depends on what the rosters look like in terms of practice squad and everything else. But I don't think they're going to, and the rules are, I don't think any of them are going to be suiting up next year. I really don't. I think they're all gone. And people chanting for Minshew, why? What does he bring? Is he better than those guys? No. Are they any of them better than the other? No. And so does he bring the excitement when he's moving around and leaving clean pockets with 2 hands on the ball?
What's the motion? Exciting? What's the motion with the hands?
Have at it. Do you notice that now? Now that I bring it up
all the time, man. That's all I see.
It's frustrating, and
it is.
I was sitting there watching the game in my studio with a couple guys, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, this is maddening watching him leave clean pockets. He leaves them.
That's
and
him.
There's no reason to leave them. And it's just amazing. And I think what was the run he had? Was it about a 15-yard run up the middle, 14-yard run or something?
Yeah, there was one of those, and like he finished with 20-something yards rushing, 22
on that
yards,
run,
13-yarder. Yep.
On that run, okay, but did you see the pocket? Step up and fire a shot to somebody.
Well,
and I haven't watched the tape. I bet there was somebody open and he didn't fire it to him.
Right. Now, that's the thing. How far down the field was this guy you think was open, Pete?
Well, that's the question. And I got to see it. I didn't see it on the tape, but I'll look at the tape and see. And it's maddening to me because it happens all the time to a lot of these young quarterbacks. And you heard the game last night. Josh Allen, he doesn't run as much. Well, that's a good thing. I mean, it's better to move and throw than it is to move and run. You're a quarterback. You're supposed to move to throw. And so I think from that standpoint, Minshew leaves far too many clean pockets. And if I was an offensive lineman, I would hate that.
Yeah.
And I think his receivers pout when he's in the game. I don't think he throws them open at all. And I think you can see that in their body language. And we've got some tweets, I think, today about people wondering about DJ Chark and his body language.
Yes.
And I didn't notice it. I don't know. Did you notice it? Was it bad?
I didn't notice it that much yesterday. I mean, I noticed it earlier in the season a little bit. You could sense a little frustration. Yesterday in particular, it didn't stand out to me. Maybe it showed and I just didn't see it. But on the TV copy, at least, I didn't see any of that.
No, I'm going to have to go back and watch it when I watch the 22 and see. But
remember, too, Pete, like he's had a tough season, too. He's been banged up a little bit, Chark has. And then all that combined with the frustration of the offense this year. That's just a tough year for Chark. I don't think there's anything bad going on with Chark. I think he's a guy you want around here.
It's not. It's just he's frustrated.
Yeah.
And understandably so. It's much like the Allen Robinson, curse when Robinson had to play Blake Bortles and who else did he play? Blake, and then he had Nick Foles and he has Trubisky and he's a really good receiver and he doesn't get to play with a good quarterback. That's frustrating. Think about Chark. Look who he's played with. He played with what? Bortles? Was it? Did he have Bortles?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. And then Foles,
and now Minshew.
And now these guys.
Other guys this year.
Right.
I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I understand his frustration. I don't understand loafing, if that's the case. If people saw that, I didn't see it. But I understand the frustration.
Yeah, and obviously we haven't been able to talk to DJ. He has not been out there in the press area, in the virtual world, I guess, after games. So we'd love to, I'm sure, at some point hear from DJ over the next few weeks to see how he's doing down the stretch.
Who do they make available after the game? I saw Minshew was available, but who else?
Minshew, I saw Schobert on the screen. I saw James Robinson because he surpassed 1,000 yards. So it's a handful of guys. I mean, depending on what's going on.
I just don't know how you could cover a team right now.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, it'd be so hard, and because that'd be first and foremost. I'd go to the wide receivers and say, hey, what do you think of the quarterbacks? And you'd have a story. They can't throw me the ball. None of them. They're all bad.
Let's hear from.
I'd be curious, JP. Does anybody think Minshew's good? Does anybody? I mean, seriously, he's not.
Apparently, some folks in the stands did yesterday.
Wow, I don't get it.
Yeah. Let's hear from head coach Doug Marrone today on a conference call with the media explaining why Gardner Minshew next week in Baltimore.
Yeah, I mean that comes into play, extending plays and being able to make plays on his feet, and that's what we're looking for, and someone that can do it, and Mike's going to sit back there, and we haven't been doing a great job in anything. I think that's why we are sitting with our record the way it is. So
there you go. Head coach Doug Marrone today discussing some of the reasons why. Gardner Minshew yesterday, 18 of 31. He had 31 attempts. They were down so big they had to throw it all over the yard yesterday. And, going back to earlier in the year, that's not the formula for success for Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, and it was uneven, period. It was, the numbers look better than the game. Let's put it that way. 18 of 31 for 178 doesn't look awful, but he didn't look that good.
Right. So there you have it. First appearance since week 7 before the bye week. We'll come back in a moment. We've got plenty ahead, Pete. We have to talk about the Jaguars' defense. It was a rough day at the office yesterday.
You can still see Derrick Henry putting footprints on their helmets and their jerseys, running over them. It was bad. That was bad, JP.
Well, we'll see how bad when we come back. We are off and running. The second hour, we'll have your social questions. It's Pete and JP for the first hour. A rating spike, and it's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity. Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, and tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company, New York, New York.
Oi.
Bonjour.
Xin chào.
Добрый день.
كيف فينا نساعدكم؟
¿Cómo te podemos ayudar?
If you have an accident, the last thing you should have to worry about is a language barrier. That's why at Farah and Farah, we have a team as diverse as our clients. So no matter what language you speak, we'll fight for your voice. Farah and Farah, here for you.
نحن هون للكل.
Ici pour vous.
Aquí para todos.
Here for all. Jacksonville.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
At ViStar, we believe in better. Better convenience. So members can bank any way they want. Whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Welcome back. Jaguars Happy Hour presented by Jet HomeLoans. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli will join us at 5 o'clock. So 40 more minutes of us two.
Amen, baby.
Love it. Jags are 1-12, and a big reason why is the performance of Derrick Henry yesterday. 215 yards, a couple of touchdowns, his fourth career 200-yard rushing game, and second against the Jags in his career. And yesterday was pretty easy for him, Pete.
Yeah, and didn't he have a long run called back, too?
He did. There were a couple, I think, in fact. So he might have flirted with the all-time record had he had those runs in there. They might have left him in.
Yeah, and they did take him out of the game, but they did allow him to go back in and get the 200.
That's right.
You notice that?
Yeah, they did.
What I couldn't figure out was early in the game, why wasn't he in on a 4th and 1?
That was a weird one. That was a really
Yeah, I mean,
weird
sometimes these coaches outthink themselves. I don't get it. But the defense is bad. They were blocked. They had a ton. Every time he got the ball, there was space. And sometimes there was giant cavities in that defense. I mean, just whatever he wanted to do, he could do. And once he gets ahead of steam, forget about it, JP. He's done. You can't, it's hard to tackle him. You got to get him bouncing. You got to get him early in the play. And they did none of that. Every single time it looked like he had space to run and maneuver and start running over people. So it's a bad defensive performance.
There was the talk going into the game, Pete, where they were discussing, the coaching staff and players, defensive players were saying, "Oh, we're adding time in practice this week to talk about stiff arms and how do you defend against a stiff arm? You chop it down, you eyes to the thighs and all that." Well, it doesn't really matter if you're 5 yards away from the guy and can't get to him.
No. Well, once he gets ahead of steam going, forget about it. He's gonna run through you. And here we're looking at some of these runs. Now, look at that hole. Look at that hole. And then, of course, the safety takes a terrible angle and has no chance. It's just, I mean, I could have run through that hole. There were a couple of their holes, and I'm not exaggerating. There were a couple of those holes in that game where we could look at that. There's nobody there. That's just bad gap football. Somebody just messed up their gap discipline right there because he ran right through him.
Yeah, it's not like the offensive line's mauling up front or anything. I mean, they're just blocking the guy to the left, and he runs to the right. That was it.
Run that play again, because where the heck are the linebackers?
I think that was that the play where they shifted last moment before, and then he ran through. I think it was. There was like a late shift on defense. The secondary guys moved around. We didn't see it on
safety. What's his name? Wingard played it awful.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Miles gets blocked. He runs into a gap and gets blocked by the right tackle. So somebody didn't hold that gap. If he's coming into that gap that he blitzed into, watch, you can see him. He's running in there. Somebody's got to have gap discipline. Oh, it's the end gets washed down.
Is it? Oh, okay, yeah.
You can see it. Watch the right. Left.
Chason gets moved out of the way.
Yeah, Chason gets washed down. That's the problem right there.
Hey, we figured it out. We diagnosed it.
Yeah. He actually was a little bit better yesterday, I thought. He showed some life. And look, you're looking for positive signs from Chason, but he did a little bit more yesterday. That was one good sign. But as a defense, they were terrible.
Oh, yeah. Bad day overall at the office yesterday. Another guy that played well, obviously, Miles Jack had a bunch of tackles yesterday, but Joe Giles Harris continues to bring some statistics to the table here. 5 tackles in yesterday's game. He's a first-year player out of Duke, and he had a sack in yesterday's game too. So, I mean, the guy is the last couple weeks starting to put up some numbers. That's a good sign for him. He's a relative unknown. We haven't really heard a lot of his name over the last couple of seasons, but hey, good for him. He's standing out a little bit.
Yeah, where did he come from?
He was an undrafted guy last year.
I know, but I mean, he hadn't been playing at all up until the last couple of weeks, right?
Right, and they've had so many injuries at that strong side linebacker that now Joe's getting a chance on defense. He started yesterday's game, in fact.
He actually made some plays. He actually looked like he was a productive player. I mean, it was good to see. Some of those young players, look, they're okay, but the problem is they're playing too many snaps. They're on the field too much. They should be rotational guys, and you're asking too much of them, and they're just not good enough right now. You look at the team, that group. Read the starting lineup from yesterday, and try and peg how many of those guys are going to be starting next year.
All right, here's the
guaranteed starters from yesterday's lineup next year.
On defense, here we go. The starting lineup for your Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 14 against the Tennessee Titans. Defensive lineman DeJuan Smoot.
No.
Nose tackle Daniel Aquale.
No.
Defensive tackle Doug Costin.
Maybe. Probably not, though.
Defensive end Adam Gotsis.
No.
Weak side linebacker Miles Jack.
Yes.
Middle linebacker Joe Schobert.
Maybe.
Linebacker Joe Giles Harris.
No.
Cornerback Sidney Jones IV.
Maybe, but why did he only play 35 snaps? Was there? I didn't see an injury.
I didn't see him. I didn't see it yesterday either on the injury thing. So
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe for him.
Free safety Jared Wilson.
Maybe.
Strong safety Josh Jones.
No.
Cornerback Trey
And
Herndon.
And by the way, did he get hurt? Because he didn't play very many snaps either.
I think, he got banged up yesterday. He left after halftime. Oh, he left, came back in, and then early in the second half they ruled him out.
The answer for him is no.
Okay, Herndon, corner.
Maybe nickel corner.
There's not a lot of yeses.
How many yeses? There's one yes.
Miles.
That's it. The only yes. Now
you're not saying yes to
make
Schobert? Schobert's got 3 more years in his deal.
It doesn't. But you don't play a guy just for the sake of playing him. I mean, what if
who else are you going to put out there?
What if they change? What if the new coaching staff comes out and they change to a 3-4 scheme? Can he handle playing in a 3-4 scheme?
I don't know.
Not a big guy.
He's not a big guy at all.
Miles isn't a big guy either, but he's more of a thumper than Schobert is.
Right.
So I mean, there's a lot of things. Miles for sure. He's the only one. Now, Sidney Jones, if he played like Sidney Jones earlier in the year, then I think he would be a candidate. But can you count on that? I mean, the inconsistency and the injuries have always been there, so there's uncertainty there as well. But of all the guys that were on the field starting that game, the only one that you can say definitely that will start is Miles Jack.
That's a lot of work to be done in the offseason for the new general manager. I mean, we always talk about the quarterback and getting the offense going and everything, but you got to stop some guys every once in a while.
How many guys that will start next year are now on injured reserve or out with injury?
Oh, there's so many, right? I mean, maybe.
Josh Allen's one. There's another one, so there's 2.
Let me go to the actual injured reserve right now, and I'll pull it up.
DJ Henderson is 3.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Let me go through the list here. Let me get to the list. Stand by. Here we go. Here comes the injured reserve Jacksonville Jaguars. Josh Allen, Chris Claybrooks, Ben Ellefson, Devon Hamilton.
Yes, there's another one. So there's 2.
That's, 3, right?
It's counting Miles and plus 2 others, Hamilton and Josh Allen. That's 3 that would definitely start next year.
All right, DJ Hayden?
No.
CJ Henderson?
Yes, there's 4.
Leon Jacobs?
No.
Lambeau? Doesn't count. Norwell? Maybe. Josh Oliver? Tight end? Haven't seen any of him.
Who the hell knows? What does anybody know about him? He hasn't played.
Yeah. And a bunch of defensive guys as well. Dontavius Russell, we haven't seen much of.
No,
late round
he's not
pick.
A starter.
Daniel Thomas?
Maybe.
Yeah, he flashed.
Maybe. But there's 4 definites.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
So if you're a new GM and you're coming in here, you have to find starters, quality starters. Now, Costin might be one of those guys. He might be on, like, if you played a 3-4, he could be one of the big ends or one of the ends, tackle end / guy. So you play Hamilton, Costin, and you need another body over there, and then you stand up Allen and Chase on. And you play Jack and whoever, Schobert, Quarterman, whoever.
Or find somebody, right.
Then you can get away with it that way. But again, 4 definite guys on defense. Now, we're going to talk about the offense too, but we can flip it to the offense. And how many definite starters are on the offense?
Well, let's come back and get into the offense, Pete. We'll leave them hanging.
That's a great tease, JP.
It
you learned that when you got nominated for that award, didn't you?
Well, I learned it when I was on your show back in the old days, Pete. We're back in a moment.
I'd leave you on hold for about 15 minutes, wouldn't I?
That's right. I would be on the cell phone just walking around, waiting on Pete to put me on the air. Back with more in a moment. Offensive talk. We'll break down how many starters for next year are on the team. It's Jaguars Happy Hour presented by Jet HomeLoans on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Hi folks, Frank Frangie here for the best barbecue in town. That's Bono's, and now it's the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All season long, you can get Bono's Barbecue at 6 different locations in Everbank Field. You also get Bono's Barbecue at 15 locations all around town with fast, friendly service, clean family restaurants, and that great, great taste of Bono's barbecues. If you want great barbecue, you want Bono's. And remember this, if there ain't a pit, it ain't legit. That's Bono's.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, and tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company, New York, New York.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
At ViStar, we believe in better. Better convenience, so members can bank any way they want. Whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes. Homes that fit your lifestyle. Next Grill, everyone's invited. And Adecco. Visit AdeccoUSA.com.
Just like you said, like, keep fighting. That's all it is. I mean, you don't get drafted, it sucks. But I mean, once you get on a team, it's still kind of the same feeling, other than not having your name called on the TV. But yeah, just keep going out there and grinding and wait for your opportunity.
James Robinson, Jaguars running back after the game yesterday, 67 yards on the ground against the Titans, and now over 1,000 in his rookie season rushing. Third in the league, fourth in scrimmage yards in the NFL. Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Pete Prisco. Tony Boselli's on the back nine somewhere. Should join us at 5 o'clock today. And our conversation...
He just yanked one into the trees, JP.
He's going to hit a breakfast ball, an afternoon brunch ball.
He just took about 3 mulligans. I know how he operates.
You know, have you ever played with him?
No, I have not. I hear he hits it a mile, though.
I haven't either. I'm sure he does. I mean, he's got all that length, so he can rip it probably. Grown man strength.
You know you can get in his head, though. Come on. Look at this show. Every Monday, it's so easy to get in his head. You know you can get into his head.
Just poke him. All you got to do is poke him a time or two. And
like if he tees off with his... I did that Brady Quinn, I work with the old quarterback.
Yeah.
I was playing golf with him one day, and he hits it a mile. And we were playing, and we're playing at a club, and he's teeing off with his irons. and I'm like, what are you doing? You're like a tennis player who runs around his backhand, hitting it, hit with your driver. Come on, what is this? He pulls out his driver and proceeds to yank about 3 of them into the woods. So I got into his head and actually beat him that day, and he's a 10 times better golfer than I am.
Sometimes it's what it takes to equal the playing field. You got to get in the mentals, as they say.
Of course, it's a mental game.
There's no doubt about that. And I'm pretty bad physically at it too. That's the other issue. Jaguars offense. We continue our conversation. We just talked about the defense. How many guys that started yesterday would be starters next season? We can play the same game on the offensive side, and of course they played two different quarterbacks yesterday. It won't be either one of those guys. And then we can go down the list. You just want to go down the list here? I mean, let's start.
Yeah, by the way, one quick thing about James Robinson. The kid's a phenomenal running back. Phenomenal. He reminds me, again, I say it all the time, he does run like Emmitt Smith. He doesn't have great speed, but he knows how to make people miss. He knows how to, give a little bit of a small target and turn his body. And every time he runs and there's a flag, I see the frustration all over his face.
Yeah.
How many times has that happened to him this year? Where he's had a nice run or a touchdown and had it called back for a flag.
Yeah. Numerous times. So many times.
Yeah.
And obviously yesterday.
He's a building block and a great player to have on that team.
The guy yesterday going in had 12 negative rushes all year. He had 2 early in the game. You could tell that the Titans were not going to let him get rolling early in that game yesterday, and they did a pretty good job of keeping him in check a lot of that day. He had 47 yards of his day in the fourth quarter in that one run, his longest run of the year. But early, they knocked him down in the backfield a couple of times. All right, so obviously that's one guy that would start next year.
By the way, Leonard Fournette was a healthy scratch yesterday.
What's that about?
You can only imagine. I don't know. They didn't really say. I didn't hear anything about that, but I mean, you go from a guy who's been playing to healthy scratch, something's up, right?
Well, I mean, it didn't hurt him. They won, beat the Vikings.
No, but he hasn't played very well either. He isn't very good.
That's an issue. Yes, that is an issue. So,
for all the criticism the Jaguars front office has taken over the years, and some of it rightfully so, they got that one right.
That was the right call. That was the right
Not
call.
Not drafting him. They got that one wrong, but they righted the wrong.
To get him out of here, absolutely. And it took this training camp to do it. I mean, that's what they saw it. Doug Marrone said it. Hey, we're no numbers, no names on the jerseys. That's as cliche as it gets, but that's what it was. It was the performance during training camp for James Robinson that said, you know what, we can get rid of our first-round, top 5 draft pick running back. That's pretty bold.
Well, they should have got rid of him last year, but that's a whole other story. Okay, so let's go. James Robinson's one.
Obviously one. Let me go through the starting lineup yesterday, Pete, all right?
Okay.
There's one. We'll start with the skill guys then. Wide receivers, DJ Chark.
Yes.
Laviska Shenault.
Yes.
They started with 2 tight ends yesterday, by the way.
They'll start 1 tight end, so put the third receiver in there.
So, Cole.
No, I mean, he'll be a backup. He won't be a starter.
Eifert, tight end.
No.
Oh, that face, painful, Pete. Oh.
Yeah, I think they'll find a tight end in the draft.
Kyle Pitts, Florida. Quarterback, obviously, no, we've gone through that.
Well, how many do we have so far? We have 3 counting Robinson, Chark, and
Shenault. All right, so that's 3. Let's go to the offensive line. This will get interesting. Cam Robinson, left tackle.
I'm going to say no. I don't think he's going to be there.
I'm leaning with you. And, if you get a
Boselli
quarterback.
will argue when he gets in there because he always takes up for the left tackle. I swear to God, JP, I could put a helmet on you and stick you at left tackle and he'd defend you.
And I'm a spinning top over there. There's no way I'm blocking anybody.
Yeah, but he defended Luke Jokel, the spinning top, didn't he?
That's true. Ben Barch, left guard.
Yes, I think he's going to be a starter next year.
They've been talking him up the last couple of weeks.
I thought he did okay yesterday. I thought he was better. And, Boselli picks that kid apart for some reason. But I think he's been better. And I think he will start at left guard because I think they're going to let Norwell go. Even, you don't have to let Norwell go. But if you have a guy who can go in there and play and the drop-off isn't that much, why not play him? And don't you think that makes sense?
Sure. Absolutely. Right? You'd save some cash, get the guy in there. You still are effective. And is that the same argument at center? Tyler Shatley started yesterday.
And Shatley wasn't awful either. I didn't, just from the TV tape, and I haven't watched the all 22 tape, but he didn't look awful either. Look, Linder's a better player than Shatley, but it's not that much different. You can't get rid of all of them.
No.
So I'm not going to, I mean, personally, if it was my team, I might consider getting rid of all of them because I don't why just for the Tony always goes, oh, you got to have linemen in front of that young quarterback. What if they're not good?
Yeah, get some better linemen, right? If
Right,
there's somebody
particularly
there.
when it relates to Cam Robinson, look, you could get by with Norwell and Linder coming back because they've played okay.
Mm-hmm.
They've been solid. Cam Robinson hasn't played to a new contract that'll pay him $18 million a year.
Right, I'm with you.
So,
I mean, it's
pay
a
him for the
contract
sake of
you
pay.
expect the play to be at its best this year, and if this is the best,
right,
it's
if
not
this is a
18 million.
contract year where he focused on everything and got himself in the tip-top shape and he was ready to go, and this is the best, then you're not paying that.
That's right. AJ Cann at right guard.
I think he comes back and starts. He's actually played pretty well this year, AJ.
Yeah, and Juwan Taylor at right tackle. I think he's back.
Yeah, he's coming back, but he needs to pick it up. I usually don't criticize the coaching staff for guys, but that line hasn't got that much better. He's regressed, and that's a concern. When you have young players who've regressed, that's a major concern.
So there you have it. That's the starting lineup from yesterday. And there's a handful of guys on IR. Andrew Norwell could be back on the practice field this week, so we might.
So how many definites did we have? We had Robinson, Chark, and Chenault's not a definite starter either. So Robinson, Chark.
I think he is though, Pete. I mean, he is.
Yeah, they targeted him. What did they target him? A bunch of times.
A bunch yesterday. Yeah, he was all over the place. I think he lined up in the backfield a couple times as well.
Yeah, he'll probably be
11 targets.
Chark, 11 targets. So Chark, Chenault, Robinson, Taylor.
It's four.
Barch,
5.
and or Linder and Norwell, I think.
Okay, so 4 or 5.
Right. That's it.
That's a lot of work to be done, too. It's a lot of guys to come in. How many draft picks do they have next year?
You have a ton of draft picks, and you have a ton of money.
Right. But those guys aren't going to come in right away. I mean, the draft picks, it takes time for rookies, even first-round picks, to get right sometimes.
Yeah, but okay, let's look around the league. The Becton's playing pretty well, really well. But I mean, these are high picks, too. Becton for the Jets.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas got better, then got worse yesterday. Wills is playing pretty good for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can find left tackle and put him in there and play him. I mean, the Jaguars, how much cap room will they have? I'm just looking at it, just quickly looking at it. 2021 cap space.
Because Bucky told us on Wednesday he feels like $77 million now.
Yeah.
That's healthy. That's still healthy. He said that tackle's pretty deep this year in the draft. There's some tackles.
There are some tackles. Yeah, $77 million in cap space, though. And if you didn't bring Norwell and Linder back, you'd create more. I don't know how much. I got to do the calculating, but you create some more. So they have money to spend. And what do we say? What do they got? 2 first-round picks. What do they have? 7 in the first 4? Isn't that right?
Yeah, there's a lot early this coming year.
I mean, the Rams didn't do them a favor last week, but
no, they didn't.
I mean, it's just that they're loaded for the draft, and they're loaded for spending money. This is not. They got the 2nd overall. They got 26 or in that area. They'll have 30, 35, 34, 48. And 66, 67, 68.
Wow.
So that's, I mean,
4 good players.
That's a lot of capital.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Now, I mean, do you parlay some of that and move up? It depends on what the new GM's wanting to do or move around.
Well, if you can move up to 1, go get 1.
I don't think that's happening.
Would you give up the 2nd first-round pick to go up a spot?
I mean, what else have you done in free agency? At that point,
I don't care. I'm giving it up. I'm going up a spot. I'll sit there, and I like Fields, but I love Lawrence. So if you go, I'll give up a 1 and a 2 next year to go up a spot.
You're generous, very generous.
I want that quarterback. I think that changes the whole dynamic of the franchise.
All right, let's come back. We'll get into the reports from Schefter.
By the way, JP,
yes,
real
Pete.
quick, I bet you the majority of fans out there would give up a 1 and a 2 to go up a spot.
They probably would. Yes, they would.
Would you?
I think I might.
Yeah, of course you would.
I think I might.
Well, ask Boselli when he gets off the golf course if he would do that.
Yeah, we'll see if he makes it on time. He's due to join us at 5 o'clock. We're back in a moment. We'll get back into the Adam Schefter report of yesterday about Doug Marrone, some names that are headlines that are being linked to the Jaguars, and plenty more ahead. Second hour coming up in a little bit. We'll get to your social questions. And it's Jaguars Happy Hour presented by Jet Home Loans on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Floridians know what it means to stand together. That's why Florida Blue is committed to the people of Florida by providing health care with lower costs and higher quality. Enroll within 60 days of life-changing events, such as losing your job, to get benefits like plans as low as $0 a month and up to $500 per year towards your premiums in wellness rewards. Call 1-800-750-0164 or visit floridablue.com/care today. Florida Blue is a trade name of Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Florida, Incorporated. These health benefit plans have limitations and exclusions.
At ViStar, we believe in better. Better convenience, so members can bank any way they want, whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, and tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company, New York, New York. Proven IT implements a strategic game plan designed to streamline your business for maximum results. Make the winning choice with the official business systems partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Proven IT. Proven IT's technology experts use a customized approach to understand how to design, implement, and monitor solutions that optimize your business. Proven IT provides managed network services, document management solutions, office technology, voice and data solutions, and more. Visit ProvenIT.com to see how they can streamline your business. Proven IT, transforming workplace productivity.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve.
You know, he threw some good balls, and we left some plays out there, and he had some drops. I mean, it's just tough. I think it's not on one person. I mean, I think everyone can see that. There's a lot of things that we've got to keep working on and keep trying to improve upon. So, I don't think it's the one position right now that we can point to. I think we just got to try to see whoever it is, whoever gives us the best chance to try to win a football game.
Head coach Doug Marrone after the game yesterday, the loss to the Titans, 31-10. Welcome back. Jaguars Happy Hour on a Monday, presented by Jet Home Loans. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli is wrapping up a golf round, maybe. We'll find out about 5 o'clock where he has been for the last hour.
Let me ask you, what do you think the over-under on what time he actually shows up is?
Oh, that's a good one. Will he be on time at 5 o'clock at the top of the hour?
4:49. Will he be here by 5 o'clock?
I say
no.
I say yes, just for
I say no.
sportsmanship purposes. Yeah. All right, I'll go yes.
I'm taking the over.
I'll go under then. All right, what's the bet?
Next time I see you, drink. How about that?
Okay. I'll. Thanks for the drink. I appreciate it.
No, you're gonna owe me unless
I
you
don't
know
think
something
so.
I don't already know.
I don't know anything. I'm just saying. Thank you for the drink, Hurley. Let's get into a little bit of the changes that are obviously coming up. The GM is gone, and obviously the question is, what will the order of operations, the flow chart, look like? Only Shad Khan really would know what he wants it to be. He's had a few different ways to go about it as the owner here. Obviously, the GM, the head coach, who reports to who and when is a guy like Mark Lamping going to be a little more involved because he really hasn't been over the last little while.
Not in the
at least
football. I don't think Mark will be involved in the football side of things.
Right.
Will he be involved in the hiring process? I would imagine he would have some input into it. Yeah.
Sure. So at the end of the day, is it coach reporting to GM, reporting to the owner? Is there, like there was in the last year or so, the GM and head coach equally reporting to the owner? That seemed like a lot of moving parts there.
Or is it a vice president of football operations hiring a general manager, and they hire a coach, and the coach reports to both, and the one reports to the VP of football operations, and the VP of football operations reports to Shad Khan. That's the way it could work. I mean, if you look at the 49ers, John Lynch, Adam Peters, Kyle Shanahan, and Lynch reports to the ownership, the Yorks. So I think that could work if you have the right people in place. It could work if you have a general manager and a coach who came up through the ranks. That's the difference. Like, let's just throw it out there. Let's just say Boselli was the VP of football operations.
Okay, he'd
have to hire. Right. He'd have to be at the top. He'd have to hire a good general manager or whatever title you want to give him, who's come up through the scouting ranks, which Tony didn't do, who knows the scouting circles, who knows the good scouts, who knows how to network, who knows how to get the information, and then they would hire the coach. And usually you would hire a guy on your radar that you know. Now, does Boselli know these guys like some of the people in the league? Probably not. That might not be a bad thing, because here's why. Sometimes we get in the networking, and I'll hire your cousin if you hire my brother, if you hire my brother-in-law down the road, and you see it all the time. So it might not be a bad thing to have a guy like that in that position, because then he's going to find the really good people and not be influenced by others to hire their friends and their buddies, which sometimes that can be a problem. So it gives them an open canvas. If Tony was in that role. Now, let's just say they hired Ryan Cowden from the Titans, and he hired Arthur Smith. Then I think Smith reports to Cowden, who reports to the Khan.
What about all this Urban Meyer talk today?
See, he would want carte blanche.
Right. That's another option too, right? Give the coach the keys.
And Urban Meyer would want, he's sniffing around jobs. He's sniffed around jobs in the past. Remember, he had the health issues that were concerned at Florida.
Yes.
And does he want to get back into it? I don't think that would be a great hire. I'll just put that out there. I just don't.
Why?
I don't think. I don't know. I used to have. When he came to Florida, I remember I did a show with Frangie back in the day. And I remember telling Frangie, I go, you are going to love Urban Meyer. Because I followed his career. And I watched him at Utah. And Frank wasn't aware of him. He wasn't real up on who he was. And I remember telling Frank, I go, you're going to love Urban Meyer. And true to his word, they did. The whole Gator Nation loved Urban Meyer.
Sure.
Because he brought winner there. Now, he had some players of questionable character when he was at the University of Florida.
That's a way to say it.
But you know what? If they did that at Arizona State and won a couple titles, I'd trade it in an instant. So let's go. So anyways, but so if you had Urban Meyer, then you'd bring in a guy that would kind of answer to him. For example, think links to Belichick. And Belichick, Shad and Tony Khan respect Bill Belichick. Tony Khan loves Bill Belichick. Look, I love Tony Khan. I think Tony Khan's a passionate, diehard football guy, and he loves it and lives it. But he loves Bill Belichick, and rightfully so. Bill Belichick is the greatest coach in the history of the league. So why not lean on that if you have it as a resource? But Belichick might recommend Urban Meyer, and if he recommends Urban Meyer, he might recommend one of his former lieutenants. Maybe it's Nick Caserio if you get him out of New England. Maybe it's Scott Pioli, who works with me now. I mean, there are guys out there, and so think about that. I mean, they basically, Urban Meyer's been a coach. He's coming out of the TV booth. Scott Pioli's been a general manager. He'll be coming out of the TV booth. So, there are a lot of scenarios to play it out. There are a lot of good people out there, but you got to find the right people. And by the way, I'm going to say this again. Boselli's not here. I sincerely believe he could do the job as VP of football operations. I don't think he could be just the general manager because he didn't come up through the ranks.
Right.
But as big picture VP of football operations, it's just football. I say it over and over again. It's just football. Marty Herney is the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. He was a sports writer at one point. It's just football.
Well, let's say it a lot then. Let's come back in a moment, and we'll get the answer. Is Tony on time or not? We've just completed the greatest hour of radio all season.
It was the best all year. It's not even close.
We
didn't have him screaming and yelling and interrupting and everything else. It was amazing,
we should turn this in for awards is what we should do.
Well, you're going to vote for yourself anyway. So
Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
You won't find a better deal to keep your ride clean than Scrubble's Flexible Service Car Wash. Start in the tunnel wash and experience state-of-the-art equipment while enjoying a soapy light show. Our quality soaps and solutions keep your vehicle streak-free. Every 3-minute car wash package comes with self-serve vacuuming, lint-free towels, window cleaner, and a free air freshener. Visit us at the St. John's Town Center, Fleming Island, and Atlantic Beach. And coming soon to Kernan and Atlantic. Trust the bow tie. You'll know quality once you arrive. Go Jags!
Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, and tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company, New York, New York.
Hi, folks. Frank Frangie here for the best barbecue in town. That's Bono's. And now it's the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All season long, you can get Bono's barbecue at 6 different locations in Everbank Field. You also get Bono's barbecue at 15 locations all around town with fast, friendly service, clean family restaurants, and that great taste of Bono's barbecues. If you want great barbecue, you want Bono's. And remember this, if there ain't a pit, it ain't legit. That's Bono's.
Jaguars fans, here's a great way to pay with pride wherever you go. Exclusively from TIAA Bank, the Jacksonville Jaguars Visa debit card comes with a fierce look and fantastic features, along with the convenience to make purchases online or at millions of locations worldwide. And it's yours, free, when you open a Yield Pledge checking account. Order yours today. Visit TIAABank.com/JagsCard. TIAA Bank is a division of TIAA, FSB, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, what we're going to do is I spoke to the quarterbacks today, and I explained to them, I mean, all three of them, during the course of this year haven't, things haven't gone the way they want them to go. Neither have I, neither has anyone. And there's a lot of pressure to get everyone else around us playing well. And I think, it's going to be important for, the pieces around them to play extremely well for them to have success. So, Gardner's going to go ahead and get the start this week, and I told Mike to be ready and Jake to keep coming along because there's pressure on all of us to go in there and win football games.
Head coach Doug Marrone today discussing the quarterback position. And welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli coming up. The aftermath of a loss to the Titans yesterday. 31-10 the final score. The Jags have now dropped 12 consecutive games, extending the single-season franchise worst losing skid. And the quarterback change. Minshew will get the start this week against the Baltimore Ravens in week number 15, and maybe not beyond that. We'll see, depending on the performance. The Jaguars lead the league in player count. The number of players who have played on the field this year, 79 different players have played. A lot of turnover. And Pete and I were discussing earlier, how many guys that started yesterday would be starters next year. And now it's on to Baltimore, where, guess what? Calais Campbell and Unique Ngakoue will be fired up and ready to play the Jags. And guess what, Pete? You owe me a drink. Tony Boselli's on time.
I do you a drink. You know what? I think Boselli was listening, and he raced to get to his office so he would make me a loser.
What was the bet, Pete?
That you wouldn't make it by 5 o'clock.
What do you mean? Come here, break.
Well, where were you? What hole did you finish up on before you got out of there?
I was not playing golf. I'm giving my word. I had an engagement I couldn't get out of. But planned for months.
You played well, I hope.
Was it the old Sawgrass, or was it the stadium? Was it the Valley? Where were you?
We had you yanking a couple into the woods, by the way. People called in and sent me a couple direct messages. They said that it was the best hour of this show they've had in a couple of years.
I was getting messages as I was in this other event saying, "Where are you? It's a train wreck. They can't even carry the show."
You were getting messages. Don't you know you're not supposed to have your phone on the golf course?
Yeah, I'm surprised. That's allowed at Sawgrass, sir. It shouldn't be. No phones allowed. I love it.
We've been evaluating the mess that is.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, listen. I was thinking about the kind of the show today and what are you talking about? Because doesn't it feel like it's a little bit of the same story over and over again?
Rinse and repeat.
I mean, you go in, and the only difference this week is instead of it being close and okay, they had a chance, they never had. I mean, from the middle of the second quarter on, it was over. And as soon as you could feel it on that drive where Derrick Henry got the ball 5 times for 75 yards right there, it was like, uh-oh, this could get ugly. And you almost get the feeling it didn't get more ugly because, Pete, they didn't want it to because when it was 31-3, they're like, hey, let's just get out of here, run the clock so we can go home without any injuries.
And they took him out of the game, but then put him back in to get to 200.
Well, and here's the other crazy thing. I bet you had 50 yards of runs called back because of penalties.
That's what we were saying earlier. But you know what? He'd get one call back, and then he'd just give it back to him, and he'd go rip off another 50.
So, I mean, here's the deal. And we know this. They've lost 12 straight. I'm sure you guys covered that. Franchise record. All the questions about who the quarterback is. It's important for the guys in that locker room. important for the coaching staff because they want to try to win a game. But outside of this, Pete, you've been saying it for a while. You got me on board earlier than any other year it's ever happened on this show. But it doesn't matter for the long run because I'm not sure the backup quarterback's on the roster right now.
We said that earlier. I said he's not.
Yeah.
And so now you're looking at, and the question is, how many guys do you have that are viable NFL starters on this team? And what can you build with in next year? And there's going to be a new GM. We're not going to fire Doug Marrone. That's not our job, but most likely it sounds like there'll probably be a change there as well. Typically, when you lose this many games, I mean, Doug's aware of it. None of us like it. We all want the best for the guys that are coaches of this team because we have relationships with them. But at some point, it kind of becomes is what it is story. And, they're going to evaluate this thing. And now you're looking to next year. And unfortunately, it's another year where you have the fan base way too early in the season saying the most exciting thing is who are we going to draft and who are we going to get in free agency. And the thing that you add to the story this year, who's going to be making the decision. So hopefully that changes here soon.
You want to give a campaign speech again?
No, I'm not. I didn't have a campaign speech last week. Last week, excuse me. I have no campaign speech right now. I think the only speech I have is, and Pete and JP, I think you'd agree, this franchise has to get to the point where the most interesting stuff of the year is on Sundays during the fall and winter. That's what it needs to get to. It can't be the most interesting time of the year is in the off season when you're going through free agency and draft and that kind of stuff. That has to be secondary. The good teams, that's secondary. The good teams, Sunday's the most exciting thing, and that's what everyone looks forward to in the market.
It's the worst team in franchise history, and it's not close.
Yeah.
It's not close. And Tony, we went through the whole starters from yesterday. Let's see if you agree with us. How many guys who started yesterday will be starters next year? Definite starters next year.
We'll start on defense. On defense first.
We'll go to defense.
Definite starters next year on defense. 1, 2.
Name them as you go.
Miles Jack, Joe Schobert will both be starters next year.
Schobert's not a definite.
Pete's not sold on Schobert. There's a lot of money coming his way.
He's a starter next year. You can't replace everything. He's he's a good player. I'm not saying he's great on a team that is losing 12 straight on the pathway to losing.
What if they switched to a defense that was a 3-4 and he had to play a different style?
I'm just telling you, Pete, if you can't replace.
All right,
everything.
I said almost on him. Okay, we'll count them. So 2.
Okay, that's 2. That were in the game yesterday. You're saying?
Yes.
Yes.
That started
starters yesterday.
There's 2 for sure.
Is Sidney Jones a starter next year?
Well, if you're saying for sure, I think he will be. Is it a for sure?
No. So you have Schobert as a for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So
next closest to me is Jared Wilson.
So you got 2 definites though.
Yeah, I had 2 definites, 2 maybes.
Okay. Offense. In the game yesterday.
Starters yesterday.
I'm going to say Chark. I'm going to say James Robinson.
2. Same as us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to say
what are you going to say?
2 of the 5 linemen yesterday will be back. I like AJ Cann will be a starter and Juwan Taylor
3.
for sure.
That's 4.
That's 4.
Maybe.
And then, what about Shenault?
If you're in a 3 wide receiver set.
Okay. So so basically he's a starter because you're usually in 3 wide receivers. So okay, so there's 5.
Yeah.
And so you're not counting Cam Robinson, I notice.
No, I can't tell. I can't say he's a for sure starter next year because I don't know what the financial situation is going to be. And based on the consistency in the second half of the season, if he wants 17, 18, 19, $20 million, which I don't think you can pay him that much money.
So is Barch a starter at left guard next year?
I would not. No, I'd bring Norrell back.
I thought he played better yesterday, though, Tony. I didn't watch the tape, but on the TV it looked like he was better.
I would bring Norrell back.
You can keep saying that. You don't think he played better yesterday? And I haven't. Did you watch the tape?
Yeah, I watched the tape.
Was he bad?
No, I'd say it was bad. Was he better? Sure. Going in the right direction? Sure. Am I ready to say he's a starter next year? No.
Yeah, that's Tony's
We
way of
talked
saying
about it the
he's
first
a
hour.
good-
We saw this coming a mile away.
You're not Anthony Cesario in him, are you?
No. Remember that beat? The first practice I walked off the field. I was right.
You were right. But,
Well, tell
you
that
don't
story
think-
for those who don't know quickly.
So, and God rest his soul because he passed away, and he was a
He
great
did.
kid, great guy. And I mean, he was an offensive lineman. And we drafted like third, fourth round, Pete. We drafted third round. Kid out of Colorado State. I mean, good dude. I mean, I really liked him. And he came in, and maybe it was the first or second practice.
It was the first practice, if I remember.
And I watched him get in this stance, and we started doing individual drills. And this is no pads. And we're going through stuff, and I just knew right away he couldn't play at this level. He just wasn't athletic enough. He didn't have the feet and the hips, and there's just some things you can't teach. You can just tell. And I walked out the field, and Prisco, actually, the first person who grabbed me was Rick Reaper, who was our old college guy. And he goes, "What do you think?" And I looked at him and said, "Rick, he can't play. There's no chance he can play." And then I saw Pete later. He goes, "What do you think of the kid?" And I said, "He can't play." I mean, I'll help.
First practice.
I just knew. I could see. You can see it. And I tried to help him and liked him and wanted him to succeed. And did he get better? Yeah. But was he ever going to be a starting caliber offensive lineman in this league? No. He just didn't have the athletic ability. He couldn't bend right. And things and nothing against him. He was a good kid. And God bless him. He got paid. Unfortunately, he had some health issues. So.
But you don't see that in Bart.
No.
Okay. And here's the kicker to the Cesario story is the scouts had like a 6-round grade on him. And Tom had a 2nd round grade on him, and they drafted him in the 3rd round. That's true. That's true.
Wow.
So, I mean, but if you're asking me, I mean, I think there's
four on offense then. 2 linemen, Chark, Robinson, and 5 if you count.
Yeah, 5, maybe 5.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work to be done.
Well, I mean, then you have to go to. I mean, here's a better question. So you played the Tennessee Titans yesterday. How many guys on the team would start on this team would start on that team yesterday?
Good question.
Okay.
Well, the best player would start. The best player on the Jaguars right now would start.
Neither wide receiver is beating out A.J. Brown or
No.
or Corey Davis. The tight end's not going to be out there.
No.
Now DJ might be a 3rd receiver on that team. The right tackle's a wash. I mean, Dennis Kelly. Juwan probably beat him out.
They're all washes across.
I would say their left guard Staffel's better than Ben Barch.
Yeah. Right.
So call the offensive line wash because they have a bunch of injuries. But by the way, we're saying it's a wash. That's their 3rd left tackle, Pete.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're the one who wants to pay Cam Robinson, not me.
I didn't. No, I said I wouldn't. Now, if you
You-
had
up until today, you've been saying you can't let him go. You got to have a guy in front of him.
I said if you get him for the right price, which I won't change. If you get him the right price, you're not just going to get
Has
rid of
that
him.
price come down?
I think I was at 12 to 14 before. I think I'm 10 to 12.
You were at 14. You were at 14.
Now, I would still take him over Quisenberry.
He's a 3rd.
I agree, but that's my point. But if you look at,
You're going to pay $14 million for a 3rd tackle.
you're not. My point is, if you go to I'll do it differently. Go to the starting group that you thought was the starting group going into the season, and the starting group on their starting group going into the season. The only you're taking Lawan, Saffold, and I'd probably take Norrell. I'd take Linder. I think Can and the other kid are pretty much close, and Kelly and Juwan, probably it's pretty close. So all the skill positions.
That's the worst thing that you said out of that entire thing is that it's close between Kelly and Taylor. It shouldn't be
if
close.
you just look at the play, Pete, I'm like, not by
I agree. I'm agreeing with you.
What I think the ceiling is.
No, but right now he's played to that level. He's played to a Dennis Kelly level, and that's a problem.
And so, I mean, the reality is it's not just who you think are going to be starters on this team next year. At some level, who cares? Because you're 1-15. If you go,
like you always say, you got to have some of them back.
Yeah.
You're missing my point, Pete. What's the goal? Now, to win a championship. Okay. So if the goal, like next year, the goal is to win a championship next year too. Now you have to have a process to get there. And so, yes, you're going to have guys starting that might not be at the caliber you need them to be to get to that championship level. And you have to build it. And it's going to take time. But you know, as you look at this over 12 games now we've had, and two things. You go back to how did they beat the Colts week 1?
Philip threw it to him twice.
They beat a team that didn't punt.
And then you start looking at it, and it's a little bit flabbergasting in the sense of, you know, it's like, I don't know about you guys, JP and Pete, but you start thinking about what we're going to talk about on the show today, and you don't want to be negative all the time. You don't want to kill these guys because I respect them as professional athletes. I respect them because they work hard. I respect them because that defense came out and played their tails off for a quarter and a half, and then it was just too much. And, you know, you respect the coaches because they're putting time in. But at the same time, it's a result-oriented business. If you don't get results, you're not going to, I mean, who cares?
Correct.
If you're not winning, what does it matter?
And people are tired of hearing they're hard working, they're playing tough. They're sick of it.
It pains me to say it. Like,
and anybody who's been in the NFL, player, coach, anything, you know, look, hard work and dedication, everything else. They're not going to make bad players into good players.
Well, here's the problem. First of all, hard work and dedication and being a pro, that should be just the base expectation.
Just to walk in the door.
Doing that, get out of here. Like, we don't want you. Like, you need to get a bunch of pros on your team. That's the first thing. And a bunch of guys who love, here's the other thing you need to get. You need to get a bunch of guys who love football, not love being an NFL player.
Correct. They love the game. Don't love being the trappings of the game. They love the game.
That's the basics.
JP's chomping at the bit for a break. I can see it. He's waving flopping his little paper. JP, when we come back, this is a tease. We're going to ask Tony the question. I asked you, would you do the trade for the first pick?
Oh, I like that. I like that. We'll do it when we come back. We've also got social questions to get to when we return as well. We had one unbelievable hour of radio. Now we're in hour number 2. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Jaguars fans, let's tackle social injustice together on game days with Selfies for Change. Visit TIAABank.com/selfies for change to take a virtual selfie with a Jaguars player and unlock a $5 donation to the Jaguars Foundation to help fight social injustice. Share your photo on Instagram or Twitter using #SelfiesForChange so more fans can be part of the movement. Join us on game days at TIAABank.com/selfies for change. TIAA Bank is the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
Jaguars fans, game day is back, and while it might look a little different this year, the good times, smooth drinks, And tailgate excitement will never change when you're cheering on the Jags with Jameson. So pull up a seat, pour a smooth Jameson, ginger, and lime, and enjoy game day with Jameson. Taste responsibly. Jameson Irish Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume, 80 proof. Product of Ireland. Copyright 2020. Imported by John Jameson Import Company, New York, New York. Sassine's Office Systems helps you manage information more efficiently, offering a full line of award-winning copiers, printers, electronic document storage solutions, mailing solutions, and IT solutions. Founded in 1981, Sassine's continues to offer unmatched customer support and world-class scalable technologies to both small businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Located in Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, Tampa, and Gainesville, Sassine's is ready with your office solutions. Call 888-771-2679 or visit sissines.com today. Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
Mike, threw the pick, and and we were behind, and I really wanted to try to get a spark, and thinking that Gardner could extend plays and make some plays with his feet, and he did that.
Head coach Doug Marrone after the game yesterday explaining the quarterback change in the loss to the Titans. And welcome back to Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli has joined us in the second hour. And Pete, right before the break, you promised to ask Tony the question that we both were discussing earlier in the first hour about possible first-round trades to go up.
Tony, would you give up your first-round pick this year and a second-round pick next year, your second first-round pick, the 2 first-round picks to go up to 1? So you give up.
You didn't say that very clearly.
Yeah, you give up your 2, your second first-round pick, and a second next year to go up 1 spot.
Yes.
We all agree. We do that.
So 2 first-rounders.
Right.
And a second-rounder next year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. In a heartbeat, right?
Yeah, I mean, now I'm saying that now based on what I know about Trevor Lawrence and the rest of the field as quarterbacks, or Justin Fields, is pun on words, and the rest of the other guys that you'd consider at that. So based on what I know now, my perception is, and I've not done any work on this, by the way, my perception is that Trevor Lawrence is like much higher, like a couple notches above the rest of the group, and based on that difference. Would determine how much that difference or what that delta is will determine how much I'm going to give up. Based on what I believe now, what you just said, I would do immediately.
Yeah, I would too. And again, I don't like giving up that kind of draft pick capital, but you go get that guy, you go get him. If you can get him. If you can get him, you go get him. I mean, did you guys, anybody watch Wilson the other night for BYU?
No.
Whew, he was spinning it the other night, I'll tell you that.
He looked good?
He looks like he's about 15, but he's got they did a Hail Mary and he threw it like 70 yards. He can throw it.
I heard he has just a
I mean, he's pretty accurate. He's pretty accurate too, and he can move around. He's intriguing. He really is.
So that's the other thing. So you have to evaluate all this, because here's the other question. If you had, let's say Trevor Lawrence is up here and you can't move up because the Jets are taking him, no matter what, and would you move back? If someone really wants Fields, would you move back 2 or 3 spots to go get Wilson
and get extra picks? I would consider. Yeah, you would consider that.
That takes us right into our social media questions. Let's go right into them tonight. Number 1 from @SBoston2587. Could we consider trading back to number 6 with Carolina, who's looking for a quarterback? We take Wilson and take advantage of what we received from that trade to trade up and get Pitts. Sounds like a good first round to me with a franchise quarterback and a deadly weapon.
Well, okay, but there's so many things here to consider. So if you move back to 6, it's pretty far back. And so, who's picking 3, 4, and 5? Do they need a quarterback? Are they interested in the guy you want? Because the other theory here, and the Giants got all kinds of criticism a couple years ago when they felt like people thought they took Daniel Jones too early, that they could have moved back 4 or 5 spots and still got Daniel Jones. And the argument, the flip side of that is, if you know he's your guy and you know he's a franchise quarterback, don't risk missing out on him. Take him. Instead of trying to be cute, move back a couple spots, maybe get a pick here or there, and then you end up missing on it. Because there's no guarantees that someone else isn't going to move back up and take the guy you want. And you have to get a quarterback if you're Jacksonville, in my opinion.
I agree.
So I'd be careful with that. That's
yeah, you got to be careful with it. But if it's workable and you could do it, and you don't have that big a difference in the grade between Fields and Wilson, then maybe you do that and get the extra picks. But you got to, like Tony said, you got to make sure that you get your guy. By the way, JP, you did the game the other day. I saw you send out your call, the kick.
Yeah, Florida
What was the deal with Pitt?
So he was a late scratch. Florida said that he went through pregame warmups and re-aggravated an injury from the week before, and then was a late scratch.
I smell something fishy there.
And then there were some tweets after the game, of course, from Kyle Pitts. There was one with the 3 dots, there was a couple of those type of tweets from him. So it made it seem like he wasn't so happy about that decision. I know they certainly missed him down around the goal line early in that game.
They missed him. They missed him, but there's more to that story. There's something there's something up with that, and he's a great player. But I will say this: there are some really good tight ends out there. I don't know if you watched the Miami game the other night, but their tight end Brevin Jordan, a heck of a player as well. So there are a lot of tight ends out there, but there's something that one needs more investigating.
Yeah, because
sure.
when he's up, he's the best in the country. Easy.
Yeah, we'll let you guys investigate that another day. I don't really care why he didn't play at this point. I'll go back to answer that. Again, I would be risk adverse of backing up if I knew there was a guy I wanted. And if I have him and I can take him, I'm taking him, because there's too many things that come into it, and you got to be careful. And you just look at recent history. So going back to the question Pete asked, would you trade 2 1s and next year's 2 to get Trevor Lawrence? Would you trade right now with the Los Angeles Chargers? Would you trade C.J. Henderson and Chase on for Justin Herbert?
Yes, in an instant.
Immediately. And that's nothing against C.J. or Chase on. My point there is the quarterback's that important. You got to get that right.
I agree.
You got to get it right. So,
how about let's go back to the draft a couple of years ago. It was Mayfield won, and Lamar Jackson won the MVP. But the guy you take right now would be Josh Allen in an instant.
Well, you only bring that up because you called that one from day one, and you love it.
But that's just it.
You love making yourself right.
No, I've been wrong before. Believe me, I thought Christian Ponder would be good. Yeah. So, oops.
I remember.
You probably did too.
No, I didn't.
But I think you have to look if you got an opportunity to go get the guy, you get him.
Go get him.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Next question. Yes. Sorry, Tony. We got to move along here. At Waco Garina from Argentina. Hi, guys. Which Jags players are in the last year of their contracts that you think will be extended, and which players from free agency would you like to see in Teal next year? Free agency is way out,
we can't
way too far ahead.
Who's under last year contract that you need to sign?
No.
The one guy. I'll give you a couple. Dwan Smoot is a good rotational player, and he's
correct. But you don't need to sign him.
No, but you'd like to sign him. You like to.
Right.
That's a spot
but you don't need to sign. He has need.
Oh, like you have to sign?
Yeah. Nobody. 0.
Okay.
Wow. Well then, okay. Moving along. Our next question.
We just threw a wet blanket over that question.
Okay then.
But you have to define need too. You do need to sign a couple of these guys because you're not going to do it all in free agency. Like I would say Dwan Smoot for the right price. I'm still looking at Cam Robinson. You got another guy in Sidney Jones who, can compete for a starting corner, and you'll probably be able to get him at the right price. So there are a handful of guys like that you have to look at. But if you're talking, is there a franchise player coming up for contract this year that you want to get signed ASAP because you don't want to hit the free agency? I don't think that the team has one of those guys.
Maybe they can go out and sign Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
New GM.
I mean, but but you look at the Dewan Smoot. There are guys available. By the way, Tyson Alualu is going to be in a restricted free.
Oh my goodness! The band's getting back together. Bring in Mercedes while we're at it.
I mean, it's just when you look at it. Okay, would you pay Leonard Williams?
Boy, he's played good this year, Pete.
He really has.
But what you worry about, this is the player you thought he was going to be all along, and it came to his contract year to get he's always been good, but this year he's dominating at times. And so if you pay him, and it's probably going to cost you, between 18 and 21 million to get him, do you get that consistent effort?
But like you always, okay, here's one. I'll give you this one. What about Trey Hendrickson?
The end from New Orleans.
He's played great this year.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a middle of the road type of guy as far as the number you're going to have to pay him. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the type of guys that, he's always been a guy who loves ball. You can tell. Yeah. So I mean, he's interesting. Listen, I said it, and you go back to the tape. Logs and I argued about it. The Dante Fowler draft. It was Leonard Williams or Dante Fowler. I said I would take Leonard Williams.
Me too.
Big
and
physical.
I thought he hasn't played to what I thought he would be though.
No, but he's always been a very good run defender, Pete. Always
correct.
Very good.
And this year he's become a pretty good pass rusher too.
Yeah. Yep. But remember, he played that 3-4-2 gap defense with the Jets, so it's a different type of deal.
So you get Leonard Williams and a guy like Hendrickson, add him to Allen and Hamilton.
Yeah, it changes everything right there. No.
That's a pretty good front.
And so depending on the price tag, I mean, the one thing I would really want to do a deep dive, and Leonard Williams is from Daytona, right down the road. That's where he grew up.
I know.
I want to just do a deep dive in making sure I know him from SC. My experiences with Leonard Williams, great dude. But you just want to make sure, what happened this year? Is it just being in a better system that he had that led to the production? What is it? But he is a force to be reckoned with when he wants to.
By the way, Hendrickson 26, Leonard Williams 27. They're in that perfect age bracket.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Look at that. Our next question submission from @BrandonBush817. Hall of Fame talk. I've been watching Freddie T's highlights, and two things come to mind. One, he deserves to be in, and two, on all the highlights you see Tony absolutely pummeling the defensive end 10 or 20 yards down the field. Tony gets in this year and leads away for Fred just like he did on the field.
Yeah, well, you know what they don't do? They don't show the runs where Fred got dumped for a 2-yard loss and Boselli's guy knifed in front of him and dropped him for the loss. They don't show that on the highlight.
You know why, Pete? You know why they don't show it, Pete? Because they don't exist. Because they don't exist.
Why did I know he was going to say that? Look, Tony should get in the Hall this year, and I think he will. And Fred should be in the Hall. There's no question about it. Fred Taylor should be in the Hall of Fame. So once Tony goes in, I think then it spurs the momentum to get Fred in. Look, Edgerrin James is going in this year. He went in last year, but he's going to get inducted this year coming up in 2021. Fred Taylor was a better running back than Edgerrin James. I'm sorry, he was.
Let's go to the next subject.
Okay. Yeah, Tony doesn't want to talk about himself. Let's go to social question. The next one from @Buckeye.
He does.
You're so full of it.
@Buckeye904. Curious if Pete has scouted any of the other quarterbacks besides Fields and Lawrence. If so, who he feels is the second best quarterback in this draft. We can't get this wrong again. I may not survive it. # Pete the Scout. # Go Jags. # JP is the glue. I like this tweet.
Wow.
He must have voted for you too in that poll that you put yourself in.
Thank you for the votes.
I think Wilson's the third quarterback, and I'm intrigued by him. I got to watch him some more. But boy, when you watch him and he can move around, he's athletic. He does look like he's 15, though. I'll be honest.
Could he pass Justin Fields?
Yes. Do I think he will? I don't know. But could he? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're done. I think BYU's done playing, and Fields has the Big Ten championship this week.
Somehow.
And then he'll play in the playoffs. And so, look, in the playoffs, everybody goes, oh, we'll see in the postseason. It's not like Clemson or Alabama has good defenses.
No.
Nobody
Right?
has a good defense anymore.
Correct. So we'll get, but they do have athletes. It's always good to see him because in the Big Ten, a lot of those teams aren't that good. And so when you see him play Alabama and Clemson, you get to see him play against NFL caliber athletes.
You're seeing
That'll-
Ohio State Purdue is not quite the matchup you're looking for.
No, and the Big Ten championship is Ohio State Northwestern. And,
Right.
and Pat Fitzgerald's done a great job with that team, but they're not that good.
Is
Right.
Pat Fitzgerald the head coaching candidate in the NFL?
Yes.
Pete?
Yes.
Do you
Wouldn't it
think
make sense for the Bears to blow their whole thing up and bring in Pat Fitzgerald?
Do you think what his style would translate into the NFL?
Yes.
I don't know him. I don't.
Yes,
I,
I
mean,
do. Yes, I do.
Our final question from @CSteviz. Not
Great.
sure
Yeah,
if
him
those
too.
are. Well, you look at it. You tell me what that says.
C.
Is
Steves.
It's Steve.
Yes, C. Steves.
C.
Steve.
Steves. Is Chark's attitude and effort a concern? He's not fighting through coverage back to the ball, not making the extra effort on tougher catches, and seems visibly disinterested. Should he be a priority signing this season, or should we make him play it out another year before extending?
And there you go. That's a second one we've heard that from. Did you, Tony, on the tape, did you see him not being as interested and not being as into it as he should have been? Because we've seen that earlier in the year.
You know, he doesn't have great body language at times, and because you can tell he's frustrated, which I don't think as a player you should ever do. Because you can be frustrated if you make a mistake, which is fine, but you don't want to be frustrated at a teammate on the field because it's almost like you're calling that individual out a little bit, and that's what you got to be careful about.
Well, if you had those guys throwing to you, you'd be frustrated too.
I'm not saying his frustration is unwarranted, Pete. I'm saying it's as you mature as a player, you can't do that. If you want to be a team leader and you want to be the guy, you can't do that. He's not having a great year. But now, is it the quarterback? Is it him? Is it a combination of both? Is it the injuries? There's a lot going on this year. And I still think he's a future building block of this team. I still think that you have to try to see if you can work out a deal this offseason, if it's possible. But there's no doubt he's not having the season he expected or anyone else. And there's no doubt his body language is not very good.
So did you see any loafing yesterday?
I didn't see loafing. No, I'm only, like, for me to call a guy out that's not trying or loafing, it has to be like obvious.
Kind of like the Cowboys last week.
Yeah, it has to be obvious. So, like watching, you could tell he was frustrated. Malcolm Butler did a good job on him, and he got frustrated. And some of the balls were so poorly thrown. I think he just was like, "What am I supposed to do with it?" Now, could he have fought back maybe on that deep ball? But I think it was almost out of bounds at the same time. So, maybe you could question and maybe say, man, just even if there's not a chance, just fighting through and trying to give that great effort and show great intention would be a good thing. But I didn't see anything where, like, you're saying, oh, my gosh, he's, giving up or he's loafing or he quit. I didn't see that. Is there plays that I'm sure he watches on tape and wishes he could have back? Does he need to create more separation? Could his routes be crisper at the top of him? Could he help his quarterback out a little bit? Sure. He's not without fault. And it's not like he can't get better. But if you're asking me, has it changed my opinion of wanting him back on the team? That he's one of their young good players. I have not changed my opinion on that.
9 targets, 2 catches.
We didn't ask Tony about JP. We didn't ask Tony about Minshew yesterday.
Yes, let's take a timeout. We'll come back and get Tony's assessment.
I don't think. Yeah, and JP, I don't think we need to do the AFC power rankings or any of that stuff. And I don't think we need to do the draft order. I think everyone knows.
Well, I think when somebody comes in for only 1 hour of the show, they don't have a say. So let's come back in a moment, and we'll figure out what we're going to talk about. How about that? It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Cecine's Office Systems helps you manage information more efficiently, offering a full line of award-winning copiers, printers, electronic document storage solutions, mailing solutions, and IT solutions. Founded in 1981, Cecine's continues to offer unmatched customer support and world-class scalable technologies to both small businesses and Fortune 500 companies. Located in Jacksonville, Daytona, Orlando, Tampa, and Gainesville, Cecine's is ready with your office solutions. Call 888-771-2679 or visit sissines.com today. Jaguars Happy Hour is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. Next Grill, everyone's invited. And Adecco. Visit AdeccoUSA.com.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on a Monday after a 12th consecutive loss. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli. You know, upon further review, Tony, you're right. And I apologize for being so aggressive before the break. We should not talk about the AFC South standings because they don't matter anymore.
They don't matter. But
They don't.
Listen, I had a conflict. I hated it. I couldn't. Something was out of my control from 4 to 5 days. It never happens. It did. I apologize. So your comment was fair, JP. Keep my mouth shut if you can't make the first part of your dang job. Fair. I had no comeback.
I mean, you could have called in from the golf course, but you know, whatever.
I was.
Man.
First
Plus,
of all,
you would put the
say I was on
Jaguars.
golf course
You
one
would put the
more time.
Jaguars ahead of the Texans, anyways.
No, I'm not. If you're going to say I was on the golf course one more time, JP, I might come down there, find you, and abuse you.
Wow.
Well then, okay.
How about them? How about them apples?
How about them apples? How about them? Let's start with the quarterback talk. Then we'll get to the draft order in a moment. So
I don't think that matters either. We're number 2, but everyone knows.
right, just so
There's
you
no
know.
way. There's no way they can't be number 2 now, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
If they lose this weekend and the Bengals win, then there's no chance. Remember, they only have a 1-game. The Jaguars have a 1-game cushion. If they win 1 game, they win 1 of the next 3, they still have the number 2 pick. If they win 2 of the next 3 and the Bengals don't win anymore, they have the 3 pick.
Don't hold your breath. Which of the next 3 they have a chance to? Okay, they're not beating the Ravens.
Chicago. I
The
told
Bears.
you that already.
The Bears, why not?
Come on.
Trubisky's going to throw them like 3.
Bears, even if they beat the Bears, they still would have the number 2 pick, provided they lost. So they're locked in at number 2, so we don't need to do the draft power rank.
So go win the game.
Let's just go to the quarterback. Do something else. Let's go.
All right, so Glennon started yesterday. He gets pulled. He threw for 85 yards in 2.5 quarters, and then Gardner Minshew comes in. What did you make of the Minshew's day yesterday, Tony?
I didn't make much of it at all, if I'm being honest. I mean, it came in 31-3. The game's like the defense has changed. The tempo of the game changed. I think one pass he threw, maybe 1 or 2 passes traveled more than 5 yards. And so does he give you something more than those other guys with his feet, his legs? Absolutely he does. Is he going to extend it? Yes. Is he going to get out of there quicker than he should? Yes. Some of the balls at the end were not accurate at all. Is that rust? Possibly. So it was like, okay, like nothing. I'll say this, nothing I saw. Like, I'm fine with Doug naming him the starter. Whatever. That's great. I said it last week. Whatever Doug thinks, I'm going to trust. He's with it. He has a vested interest of winning games. I am now in Pete's corner. Like it or not, I'm thinking about next year. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just telling you, I'm thinking about what does this team need to do so that I'm not talking about next year during the season ever again. Like, I don't like this. I don't like talking about next year when we have games to play. I don't like talking about people I have relationships with possibly losing their jobs. I don't like being this negative stuff. So I am now looking forward. So if Gardner Minshew starts, great. Did I see anything that makes me go, yep, he's the guy, let's build around it? No. Nothing. Nothing
Tony,
changed.
you watched the
I know
you watched
Gardner
the tape.
Minshew is. Yes.
You watched the tape. On the run, when he left the clean pocket, he ran for 13 yards. Was there somebody open that he could have hit down the field? I couldn't tell.
Wide open? No, Pete, but in this league, like
I'm talking about NFL open. NFL open.
Like I'd have to go back and look at that exact play. But here's why I don't see him very often throwing into tight windows and throwing people open, or anticipating where they're going and throwing it over the middle of the field in anticipation where they're going to end up being. I just don't see that a lot. I'm not trying to be critical of the young man. He's a competitor. He works his, looks like he competes out there. He's gritty. He's going to fight. He's not afraid to, try to make things happen. But do I see a guy who's a franchise or a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL? I don't.
No.
All right. Let's come back in a moment. By the way, the not so powerful draft order, the Jaguars are number 2 currently with the 546 strength of schedule. The Jets are number 1. I just wanted to get the graphic in for our video audience.
They're not getting number 1, by the way.
Jets are not going to do it
Jets
for
can
us.
beat the Patriots? You don't think Belichick says, hey, let's start Stidham this week and see what we can do?
What if he tanked and sat down all the guys so they don't get him?
Gosh, let's come back in a moment. We'll go around the NFL and recap the games. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.
Hi, I'm Tito Beverage, founder and master distiller at Tito's Handmade Vodka. In 1997, we became the first micro distillery in the state of Texas, and we're still making the same smooth stuff after all these years. We're still cooking in a pot still, working with our dogs by our sides, having fun and tasting batches, and I'm still wearing the same hat, even after all these years. Head over to Tito'sVodka.com to learn more about what else we're doing the same. Cheers. 80 proof Tito's Handmade Vodka, distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. Tito'sVodka.com.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
Jaguars fans, be there for the final home game of the year as the Chicago Bears visit TIAA Bank Field December 27th. It's our annual fan appreciation game and our chance to say thank you for being Duval together all year long. Tickets are still available at Jaguars.com or by calling 904-633-2000.
Bring the noise to the bank to help close out the year with a bang.
Second touchdown of the game from James Robinson. Visit Jaguars.com/tickets today.
Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com.
Any repeated physical activity puts stress on the body. Checking your phone, getting in the car, sitting at your desk, checking the phone, getting in your car, sitting at your desk, checking your phone for the 50th time today. If you do anything with regularity, you should get massaged with regularity. Massage Envy. Keep your body working.
Regular body work makes the body work with massage, skincare, and stretch. Come in today for more information or visit massageenvy.com for more details.
Welcome back, Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick, Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli, and it is time to go around the National Football League in Week 14 and get to the games from yesterday. The Broncos get a win over the Panthers, 32-27, and in that game, Drew Lock threw 4 touchdown passes, Pete.
I'm telling you, I like him. I think the Broncos have the makings of a pretty good offense because I think Lock can throw it. I'm hearing myself in my ear now. That's great. Right. I get to hear myself twice.
Just keep talking.
Hey, I like hearing myself, but I get to. No, I think Locke, KJ Hamler. You get Cortland Sutton back, Judy, Noah Fant. They have the makings of a pretty good offense there in Denver.
Yeah, I'm not. Are you sold on Locke though?
I like Locke. I want a gunslinger. I think he's a gunslinger.
I get that. And I haven't seen enough, Pete, so I'll trust you. I mean, if Locke's the guy, yeah, they got some talent. And I think Munchak's did a good job with the offensive line. They're starting to play better. So we'll see. I think for sure, now I shouldn't say for sure, if they finish the season the right way, I think Elway brings Vic Fangio back and gives him another year to see what he can do in a non-COVID, everyone, not with all the injuries, get some of his stars back. But I think he has to. They have 5 wins now. If he wins 2 of the next 3, I think he's for sure back. 1 of the next 3, 6 wins, I think it's 50-50.
I would agree with you.
The Bears over the Texans, 36-7. What happened to Houston? Well, Trubisky and Montgomery and Allen Robinson happened to Houston.
The Texans are off.
It's a bad defense.
It's a bad team. The team's not good. And people keep comparing jobs and stuff to, okay, would you rather have Watson and have that mess that's around him and no draft picks? Or would you rather have the Jaguars situation with the number 2 overall pick? Look, the quarterback is great to have, but that team around them is terrible. And they have issues. They're getting age is there. J.J. Watt's starting to break down. Who rushes the passer? It's a bad team.
Speaking of,
they're not very good. I didn't see him getting blown out like that, though. It was bad. That might drop them in this power. That might have dropped them in the AFC South power rankings. That performance.
Wow, that's but we didn't do them tonight. Remember, somebody didn't want to do the power rankings.
You can't drop them over this team. It's the word. Stop it.
Cowboys. Speaking of bad teams, Cowboys over the Bengals, 30-7 yesterday. We'll just go ahead and skip that game because there's not a lot to talk about. Kansas City over Miami, 33-27. This was 10-0 Miami, and then Kansas City stormed ahead, and it got close late.
And you know what? Kansas City, that's the greatness of them. Mahomes wasn't that great. He threw 3 picks. He had a couple tipped through a bad interception, and they were down 10-0. The next thing you know, you look up, and it's 30-10. Yeah. I mean, they were just dominating. And then Tua made it interesting with some nice plays, but no, Kansas City's the best team in the league.
Yep. Nothing to add there.
Arizona over the Giants 26-7, and let's see, Tampa Bay over Minnesota 26-14. Tom Brady a couple of touchdowns, and Pete, as you said earlier, Leonard Fournette a healthy scratch yesterday.
Healthy scratch, Leonard Fournette. Think about that.
Remember when everyone was saying the Jaguars are tanking because they're getting rid of Leonard Fournette and keeping James Robinson as a starter? What do you think now?
It's not even close. They're not even close.
James Robinson is better at everything. He's a better football player.
Should James Robinson be voted into the Pro Bowl?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
So what is he in? Where is he in rushing?
Third.
Third in the NFL?
Yes.
God, so he's second in the AFC then?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got. It depends how he finishes. He needs to have another good week because I think they vote after this week, after week 14, typically.
1 and 2 are clearly ahead of him, but Dalvin Cook's 2 and he's 300 yards ahead of him. But after that, he's got a pretty significant lead over 4.
He's a good player.
Yeah, he should be in the Pro Bowl.
Colts over the Raiders 44-27. The Colts 9-4, keeping pace, but they're still back because of the division record, and the Jags win over them.
And the Raiders fired Paul Gunther, and I've known Paul for a long time. You tell me who's going to make chicken salad out of that chicken dunk. Come on.
How about this? If the Titans win out and the Colts win out, the reason the Colts don't win the division is because they lost to the Jaguars opening day.
Yeah, and the Colts are the better team, I think.
They're the better complete team because they have a defense. I don't think the Titans can go anywhere in the playoffs because that defense is so bad. The Colts have a chance because they can play really good defense.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about it. But by the way, Mike Mayock not doing you any favors, Boselli.
Pete, please stop, please. They're good offensively.
A few more games here quickly. Seattle dominated the Jets. Thanks a lot, New York. The Packers win again, 31-24 over Detroit. Chargers over Atlanta, 20-17. Philly gets a win, 24-21.
Hold on. Stop with Atlanta real quick. Just because I want to ask Pete a question.
Quickly.
Pete, do they move on from Matt Ryan? I mean, he was 3 picks yesterday. He was bad.
He was bad. No Julio, though.
I don't care. Do they move on from Matt Ryan after this year?
Okay. I don't think so.
Philly over New Orleans, 24-21, and Washington wins again. The football team starting to rally, Pete.
Jack Del Rio has that defense playing good football. I mean, they have a lot of talent up front, but they're playing good football.
Right. Buffalo.
They are. They can get after the quarterback.
And then Buffalo.
They got big players inside. Tony, that goes back to your theory.
Block. Protect the quarterback, run the ball, affect the quarterback, sack him, and get a quarterback, and you're going to win football games.
But it's not sustainable without the franchise quarterback. You know that.
You got to get the quarterback.
That's right. You got to have the quarterback. Bills over the Steelers. They have a quarterback. Both teams, in fact, 26-17, the final score.
Some Steelers fans right now might debate you on whether they have a quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, Buffalo's better than Pittsburgh, a lot better.
Monday Night Football, we get a sneak preview of the Jags' Week 15 opponent. Lamar Jackson and the 7-5 Baltimore Ravens are hovering at the AFC playoff cut line. They'll face the churning running game of the surprising 9-3 Cleveland Browns. Could be the fastest game of the year. 2 of the top 3 rushing offenses in football. Who you got tonight?
I said that last week when the Browns played the Titans, and it ended up being an offensive explosion. So I don't know how this will play out, but the last time the Ravens blew them out, they're the better team. Look, Cleveland's an upstart. They're a nice team, but I think the Ravens are getting guys back. They go in there and they handle business.
My concern is, could the Ravens be looking ahead to the big matchup next week and they get caught sleeping?
That's right. That's right. Trap game. It's a
trap game. They're going to rest guys. They're going to rest guys next week for the following week and still win.
All right, there you have it.
Listen, I think the Ravens are the better overall team, but I'll tell you, they better strap it up because the Browns have a really good offensive line. Wills, their left tackle, who was a right tackle in Alabama, Pete, maybe the best rookie I've seen this year as far as offensive lineman. The kid's a stud. good in the run and the pass. I love the offensive line for the Browns. I think they can run it against the Ravens, and I think it's going to be a close game.
That's why you don't pay Cam Robinson right there.
Pete Prisco, Tony Boselli. We had a show tonight. Thanks to our entire crew, Joe Fortunato, Brent Reber. For Pete and Tony, I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. It's Jaguars Happy Hour on the Jaguars Digital Network.